All right, let's go. Already know what it is. Here we go. Welcome, everyone. This is the DC Incentives Podcast, episode 38. And it's Women's Month. Happy Women's History Month. And we have, you've seen her in Women's Month from last year. She's back. Well, she never left, matter of fact. Phonetic Wisdom, please introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. I am your girl, Phonetic Wisdom. I am the founder of Voices of PowHer, Black Women Empowerment Organization for Black women's mind, body, and spiritual healing. And I curated that so that we can have knowledge of self for the future generations by undergoing that healing process that so many of our parents and our ancestors did not really have the opportunity or the awareness to engage in so that we can have a more abundant future. So I'm very, very big on mind, body, and spirit wellness. I'm an advocate for that. I'm also a poet. I'm a spoken word artist. I host events, I curate events. I'm a youth counselor. I have quite a few titles. I guess that's why they say Jamaicans have so many jobs. So clearly, I'm Jamaican, so I'm tapped in with who. And yeah, there's a lot of wonderful things happening for me this month and coming up. So I'm really excited to share it.
Okay. Um,
Are you echoing?
so I don't know why I'm echoing. Let me change the setting. I am so sorry, our audience.
You're not.
But,
You're not now, but you were.
okay. Um, okay.
Are you playing yourself in the background?
Nah, I'm here. So we're just gonna do it. I'll figure out the this echoing. I'll figure out. We're gonna solve this, but we
Uh,
live. So go ahead, Phonetic Wisdom. This is all you today.
yeah. So let me just plug myself in first, right? So of course, let's
No,
just get out
go ahead,
today
Phonetic
our
Wisdom.
social media. What happened?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So just to get out the way, my social media. Feel free to follow me on Instagram at Phonetic Wisdom, spelled like as you see it right here, right now. I finally launched my personal website. It's phoneticwisdom.com. So go check that out. I did that work myself, and so I would appreciate it if you took the time to go and look at it because it's some really good work. Also, my website, Voices of Black Power, power with an H, like her.com. I have my services listed on there, the events that are coming up when I do have events coming up. And I'm a blogger. I haven't written a blog maybe like three, 3 or 4 weeks. I'm lagging a little bit, but I've been working on some other things, right? So there's that. Um, my next event is what's today, y'all? Today's the 13th. Okay. So this Saturday, I'm gonna be in Brooklyn, right? So I got an event. They asked me to pop out in Brooklyn, and it is gonna be at hold up. I'm gonna tell you all right now. So y'all can put it on show love because if you know me, you know I put on a show very well. So that's gonna be 7:30 at the Remy Rouge Cultural Center, right? That's at 183 Tompkins Ave. It's an open mic, so if you are an artist, if you want to spit something, come out as well. Enjoy the vibe. The 23rd, I'll be at Amarachi for Dreamers Open Mic. That'll be, I believe the doors, well, it's a restaurant, so pop in whenever you feel like it, but the show will start at 8. So that is another opportunity to see Your Highness in person. The 25th, A great friend of mine is curating a sensual event. So when I say sensual event, really what we're going to be doing is we're going to be focusing on the sacral chakra. Hence why I'm wearing this orange, right? Sacral chakra energy. So what I love about what she's doing is it's very much in alignment with my organization, Voices of Black Power, right? So I started Voices of Black Power because I have experienced sexual abuse and trauma, but more than that, like my mother, probably my mother's mother and her mother, and a lot of Black women have experienced sexual abuse and trauma. So that was really the pandemic for me. And when I decided, okay, I need to curate a safe space where these women can come and, take whatever gifts or talents that they have and transmute the trauma into triumph. Because a lot of times in our community, we get really, really caught up on the trauma. We get caught up on the trauma and we are not clear on how to navigate to the triumph. And I realized that there's also a glorification of trauma in our community. Like we have a very, very strong connection with trauma, and it's almost something that we like pride ourselves on to some degree. And so that was something that I was noticing, and I was like, okay, we can acknowledge that we are people that experience a deep trauma, but let's not let's not hold on to it so deeply as if that is the only way we can identify with ourselves and with each other. So, transmuting trauma into triumph. And that really became one of the ultimate messages for Voices of Black Power. So, with doing this sensual sacred event, it's really about tapping into that sacral chakra energy and going back to, what may have been a traumatic experience for you, because we all have different experiences. And, how I experience something, you might not experience it the same way, Nairon. You might not experience it the same way, Rich. But it's a personal experience. And if it's negatively impact your view of your sexuality, of your sensuality, you have to come to terms with that so that you're able to transmute that energy and utilize it for your highest good, right? And so essentially the same um the same thing that makes us really attractive, as a people, is the same thing that we're often, shamed for, or that, we're abused for. Like Black people have become a people that other races lust over. And it's the also it's an over sexualization, a hyper sexualization of a people, and especially Black women. And so, if that is the society that we are living in and that we are used to, are we aware of how that impacts our narrative with our own sexuality? You know, are the thoughts and beliefs that we have about ourselves as sexual beings, as sensual beings, rooted in our Afrocentricity, our melanin, or is it rooted in Eurocentricity and non-melanated thinking? And yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. But, creating spaces where we can safely do the work. And I've been as soon as we come out the womb, even before we on this journey of spirituality, whether we realize it or not, I feel like 2014 was when it really hit me. Like, oh, I'm really supposed to be doing some real shit out here in this community. Okay. And 2018 was when I manifested Voices of Black Power. And ever since then, I've been able to, truly manifest and attract those who are in alignment with my vision and my purpose. And so this is just an extension of that. And one of the things that a few of the things that we're going to be doing is I'm going to be doing some sensual poetry, okay?
What
And
is sensual
yeah,
poetry? Talk to me.
what is sensual poetry? Do I really need to explain what's sensual poetry? I mean, we know what poetry is,
Absolutely.
and do you know what sensual is?
Listen, for our audience who might not know, consider myself one of those. I know what sexuality means. I know what poetry means. When you combine the two, what is that experience like?
Okay, so what's sensual to you?
Touch, taste, um, smell.
Okay.
I wouldn't include vision. Clearly, because sexuality is all about touch. But those are the things that I think of.
So I heard you say smell. I heard you say something visual. So something aesthetically pleasing, right?
Right.
Okay,
Did
I'm
you
gonna
also
take
hear
that.
me say touch?
You said what?
I know. I said, did you also hear me say touch?
Okay, touch. I love that you said that because massage guidance and touch will be a part of the experience. Um, so if I'm doing something that's sensual, it means that I'm in touch with my senses, right? So I'm engaged with my smell. I love scents. I like to light candles. I like to wear smelling perfume. That's a part of my sensual essence. Um, I like to touch myself because I like the way I feel. That's a part of my sensual experience, right?
Well,
I like to.
before you continue, Rich, this is my favorite guest of all time. Continue.
This guy's a riot.
Okay, so technically, nothing. Go ahead, Phonetic Wisdom.
Um, so that's a part of my sensual experience, right? I like to wear nice fabrics. I like to wear things that accentuate, my form to the degree that I feel comfortable. So everybody knows I have big breasts. So I like to wear things that, they highlight them. They're a part of me. I accept them. So that's a part of my sensuality, right? Um, my voice, how I sound. That's a part of my sensual experience. So it's bringing those aspects of myself together into my poetry to create this moment of, however that presents itself in that space and time.
So when you
Okay,
conduct your sexual thought, right? When you conduct it, how does it work? Because like if you have, it
not
sounds
right.
like a
And
very
ask that
personal
question one more
one-on-one.
time. Ask that question one more time, Nairon. You're breaking up.
What I was asking was, how do you conduct that one-on-one experience? Because it sounds like that's a one-on-one experience. Poetry also involves the entire audience. How do you fuse the two?
So I heard you say it sounds like that's a one-on-one experience, and after that, I don't know.
I no. What I was saying was, it sounds like it's a one-on-one experience, but poetry should be something that's heard by multiple people. So how do you fuse that sexual one-on-one experience to something that should be heard by the masses? How do you combine the two?
So I'm gonna address the one-on-one part, and I'm gonna clarify with the last part of what I believe you're saying. So you believe that it needs to be a sensual experience for you or for it to be sensual?
I think it should be from what you described. It sounds like it would be
Mm,
best
your Wi-Fi
absorbed.
has no speak for you.
Oh my god. It's really that bad? It's really that bad? Today of all days. This makes a lot of sense. This makes a lot of sense. I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
I do.
All right. So what I was saying was it sounds like your poetry would be best absorbed in one experience. But it's contradictory because poetry that could be heard by multiple people at the same time. So how do you fuse sensual poetry?
Okay, I'm gonna address what I think you're trying to say because when you get to like the good point, it cuts out. But ultimately, it's going to be an intimate space. Let me say that. So it's already going to be an intimate space. So it's going to have that element of closeness already. So for me, what makes it sensual is the ability for me to be connected to myself in that moment and to articulate visually, emotionally, physically, spiritually how I sense my reality and to portray that or display that to my audience. Now, whether or not you're interested in a one on one sensual experience with me is another story. But nonetheless, as far as the audience or how many people are going to hear me or need to hear me, there's a time and place for everything. I don't always need to be on a big stage in front of a bunch of people to get the message across. Sometimes a room of 5 to 10 is more than enough for whatever the experience is going to be. And he'll see the replay on that. Any questions?
All right, so it's Women's Month. You have been with us, you've been with us for like forever now. Thank you, Phonetic
Oh,
Wisdom.
really? It's
Seriously.
forever?
Nah, but let's help. Let's since it's Women's History Month, let's help out. Let's help him out quick. So talk about your journey as you as a spiritual being. Uh,
Uh-huh.
yeah, talk about that.
You know, the journey of
Wait.
like,
Did I miss the good part? Did I miss the explanation?
oh, well, you can see it on the replay, honey. We moved on.
Oh no. God
Mm,
damn it.
you'll survive. Well, Mr. Diamond Cash Rich of DC and Sentence was just asking me, to elaborate on my spiritual journey. So,
So this
what
is
I want to say,
poetry.
are you going off right now? Because you look very distressed, even though we don't hear you.
Oh my God, you can't even hear me? Continue.
We hear
Please.
you when it's really not exciting, but whenever you're trying to, I guess, like really give it, but it's not getting. So it's not that day for you.
It's not my day. Today is not my day.
What day were you born on, Nairon? I'm curious.
24th of November.
Maybe you could text that to Diamond and we can figure out what you said.
You did hear that?
No.
Put it on the private chat, Naira. Put it on the chat.
You know what? Maybe your Wi-Fi is not feeling your energy. You seem to be very worked up.
Yeah, please talk about that also. Talk about the energy, spirit. Oh, November 24th. Okay, Nairon.
I actually meant like what day? Like I was born on a Friday. Oh, Sunday. That's why I asked. I was like, why is Sunday like testing you like this?
That's pretty much.
Interesting.
Oh, so you know numbers too.
Numbers like numerology.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with numerology.
Okay.
I was born on the 6th day too, but I was born on the 15th. He was born on the 24th.
Okay.
That's another
I'm
podcast.
so
That's another podcast. but but continue. Yeah, continue, Phonetic Wisdom.
Um, so the thing about being on a spiritual journey is like we all are. It's just about the awareness of it. And I say that because we're all we all have a spirit,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's no way for you to um, sidestep or circumvent being a spiritual being because you have a spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really more so about your awareness of the fact that you are a spirit inhabiting a body or this vessel. The thing that I've been really like dealing with as of recently on the journey is ego. And I think it's funny because we can be egotistical and not spiritual or just not conscious, of our egotistical behavior. But then we can also be like spiritually egotistical, right? So I can be an unconscious asshole and I can be a conscious asshole. And
Mm.
I think that that's something that is really important to acknowledge because on it with spirituality and getting to the so-called higher calling or purpose or going higher, there seems to be a lot of misunderstanding or the concept that if I'm spiritual, that means I'm higher, and those who are not are lower. And meaning that that is a bad thing. Like what's high is good and what's low is bad, or what's white is good and what's black is bad. So dealing with going back to our ideas of what is and what isn't. Where did we get the idea? And I think that that's probably for me right now the most fundamental thing in spirituality is questioning where I'm drawing my stream of thoughts or my consciousness from. Is this a thought indigenous to myself, to my culture, to my people, or to that of my oppressor? And we can navigate the journey going through the consciousness of the oppressor to get to self. And we may be very, very confident in the ideology which opposes us, but it still is assisting us in getting back to ourselves because we were indoctrinated to function and operate in opposition to ourselves because we're in the system of the oppressor. It's inescapable. And I think that trauma, it can be a gateway to healing and health and wholeness and reconnecting to the truth of your spirit and whatever your spirit embodies here. And I was having a conversation last night with someone, and I don't really remember how we got to like altars and statutes on altars and the significance of it, but I know that we've also been indoctrinated by our oppressor to believe that those things are witchcraft or voodoo or hoodoo or whatever, which is indigenous to our people, which is something that was practiced before we were, snatched up from our native land by them and brought to whatever other land that we were and given a different stripped of our identities,
Mm-hmm.
stripped of our language, stripped of whatever connected us to our spirit. And so what I was sharing with this individual was that the statutes are really a representation of the different expressions of God's energy. So, like how they have saints, when our ancestors were stripped of their cultural identity and customs, they had to they wanted to they still had that very strong spiritual connection. That's something that we as a people naturally have. And so we always had that connection and strive to maintain the connection in whatever way that we could. So one of the ways that they preserved their spirituality was by hiding them behind the others, the saints. So like I'm trying to think of what saint was affiliated with. our indigenous culture, but from the Catholic or European perspective, um, I believe Mary, don't quote me on this, Mary Magdalene.
I might quote you on that.
Mary Mary Magdalene is supposed to be, because Jesus is supposed to be Horus in Kemetic scripture or
You know that for
mythology.
real?
That's a whole different topic you talking. Yes. So
Yeah.
Jesus is
I'm
supposed to
just drawing
be.
the I'm just trying to help draw the connection, right?
Yeah.
But in Kemetic philosophy or thought, Jesus would be Horus.
Okay, I see what you're doing
Yeah.
now. All
Am I
Yes.
bugging?
right. No, you're not.
No.
You're not bugging. I was the one that was bugging out.
Yes. And
Okay.
so I believe that Mary would be or Set.
Yes.
But
Seth.
yeah, so understanding that there there are representations of characteristics that we all have or can embody. So in Yoruban culture, the mother of the waters is Yama.
Mm-hmm.
And her, you will hear stories about Yamaya, different stories. It's kind of like when we play telephone and you tell me something and then I tell Nairon and then Nairon tells someone else, but now the story switched up a little bit, right? But it still has the same message.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you'll see in different mythologies, and mythology is really something that allows you to understand the psyche and the subconscious. And whenever we're dealing with spiritual texts, whenever we're dealing with mythology, it's a reference to something that is beyond the surface. So the subconscious, the subtle, the hidden, the esoteric. And that is also why they call our indigenous spirituality witchcraft. Like there's nothing actually, it's funny because the word and the what you feel when you hear the word is only attributed to what other people think and believe about the word. And so over time, when you hear as bad as bad as bad, you get triggered and you think, oh, evil. But that's only because that's what you've been programmed to see it as.
Right.
But it's become foreign to you now because you have become familiar with familiar familial, like family, to
Mm-hmm.
the the opposing ideology. So the ideology that we're given when we come into this society and the system is not that which is going to prosper us as a people, but it is the ideology that they give us so that we don't ever really connect to ourselves and realize who we are as a people, right? Because why else would we be the most oppressed people? Because we're so bad? I mean, that would be very strange when we haven't, turned around and killed all of them at this point. Because if we were so evil, we would have done it by now, right?
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
you could use Haiti as an example, though. In Haiti, they did kill a lot of slave owning whites.
Well, the thing was, you talking
And
about
why shouldn't they?
you talking about the Haitian Revolution now. That goes back to because of and revolution during when the Haitians, they was actually not towards revenge, it was actually towards like their safety for themselves. So it's just like when someone is trying to intrude your house, wouldn't you have safety? And that's the whole point of the Haitian Revolution.
And that
Right.
might even be that Eurocentric concept of survival of the fittest.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, you're not going to no people that really have a knowledge of self and see the value in themselves are going to allow you to abuse them and oppress them and take advantage of them and their God-given right, you know? So, and it's funny because a lot of times I was just thinking like, wow, Haiti's so oppressed. This is such a small island. Why would they oppress a small island to such a degree that even, we have like intra, I don't know if I should say intra-racial or intra-cultural. I think it's intra-racial prejudice.
Yep.
So a lot of us tend to look at Haitians as if they're doing all this evil, which is essentially divisive to us as a people, right? If we're looking at our own people as the problem, when we know that whatever they're experiencing is not it doesn't truly have to do with their misuse of power, but their the the continuous propaganda behind the fact that they misuse their power. So now they're actually afraid to use their power to save themselves. That's the reverse psychology because it's psychological warfare. It's spiritual warfare. If they can
Mm-hmm.
convince you that those people are evil or you're evil, then you will be so afraid of yourself that you won't even want to discover what your power is because you all you're thinking is, well, the only thing I can do is evil. The only thing I can do is bad because that's what you've been told. But you're beneficial when you're productive to their causes, right?
I
Yep.
And
think
if you were that
that
evil, wouldn't they have validated you by now? I mean, they have the power to do so. So why did it just get rid of you? Because
no,
they need us. They need them.
of course, of course. I think the reason why Haiti was so targeted is because it was such a wealthy island, right? You were importing sugar, which was a huge thing back in the 17 and 1800s, right? France always wanted Haiti in their back pocket because it made them rich. It was the 19th century equivalent of Saudi Arabia today, where if you could get control of that area, you were a wealthy nation. And it just so happened that the Africans that you employed, not employed, the Africans that you enslaved are responsible for mining all of that gold, all of the sugar, all of the other resources that the world needed. And to keep us oppressed would be the best method to make sure that all of the productivity is, you know, is accentuated, that all the productivity is used at its maximum. Because if you can only see yourself as a tool, you're only going to do what a tool does.
Hmm. And
Hmm.
so it comes back to profitability, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And so if it doesn't allow them to profit from us because they profit from our demise, right? Then that's not going to be the the main message to us. Unless it benefits them, you know, it's not going to be it's not going to elevate us because that would be the antithesis to them, so understanding your nature when it comes to spirituality is very, very, very important, I feel, because we're people that aren't taught about our nature. We're taught about what's anti-nature, which goes against us as well, because we can, I mean, I don't remember who I heard this from, but they were basically like, white black people's hair, it grows up like with the tree. So it's reaching for the heavens, quote unquote, whatever. It's reaching for the cosmos. These are our antennas. And white people's hair naturally it's limp, it's dead. It's like fur. And I was like, ah, so we're of two different natures. And
Hmm.
I think that people also tend to let their ego confuse them and think that, well, that must mean I'm better or I'm superior. You have an advantage, absolutely. But if you start to think more highly of yourselves than you ought to, then you too will abuse the power that's been used against you. And one of the things that I learned is because we as melanated people, having melanin gives us access to the entire universe because it's in everything. That is another level of power. And it might sound nice, but it's a massive responsibility to which, on a collective degree, we are not even ready for right now. And it's that continual process of cultivation and going through the suffering and the injustices and the pain that I feel like the universe has no choice but to put us through for us to get us to wake up and figure out how to use our power, not as if we are them, but as beings of nature. That if we are to um if we are to be unjust to any degree in using our power, that has a cosmic and a universal impact. And that might be something that we can't even conceptualize yet. Like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
so powerful that my wrongdoing on this planet will have a negative impact beyond this dimension. And go ahead, Nyron.
No. I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. I'm just going.
Oh no,
Okay.
the way you like opened your mouth, I thought you were gonna say something.
No. I'm all in. I'm listening. I'm all on your side, man.
But I'm learning a lot. I'm learning a lot, to say the least, and there's a lot that can be said. But it's definitely very much about mindfulness, being aware of yourself. And being aware of yourself allows you to see how you relate to the world, to the people in the world, the places in the world, the things in the world. Because the
Mm-mm.
relationship with yourself is going to determine how you relate to everything else. And so it's really about understanding the relationship that you have with yourself, because I used to have a very toxic relationship with myself. And even though I was very much like the one people wanted to be around because I just had that energy and I was outgoing and I was funny, it was self-loathing, you know? And I would attract people that would like kind of assist me in that self-destructive behavior and habit, right?
Well, Miss Wisdom, can you expound on that? What does it mean to have a toxic relationship with yourself? When did you know that you had a toxic relationship with yourself?
That's a good question. So for me to have a toxic relationship with myself, okay, how am I talking to myself? Am I having negative self-talk or positive self-talk? Do I do am I patient with myself? Do I give myself credit when I'm, you know, having a hard time? Do I encourage myself or do I beat myself up?
Mm,
How am I treating myself? Because how you treat yourself is people gonna look at you and see how you treat yourself and they're gonna treat you the same way. You already set the tone. So there's that. And if somebody is choosing to treat you better than how you treat yourself, you're not gonna be able to understand how to take it either because you don't think you deserve it because that's how you treat yourself like that, right?
right.
Because you don't think you deserve better. And I've been through that. But you said something else. You said
No, I said,
when did I know?
when did you know?
It was when I was with like my real life soulmate. Like this was actually this person literally mirrored all of my darkness. Like everything I did not want to see in myself, I saw in this person. And I felt like that was like really the ultimate in my self growth because I really had to see my shit. And that that really started like 20 the relationship started in 2013, but I don't feel like we really started to get to the root of some deep stuff until around like 2016, 2017. Because
Mm,
by that point, this person had seen me through some really like just bad relationships. Like I was in really, really bad relationships. And she would really try to get through to me. And I would just like chill with that, like block. Like I don't not trying to go deep. Well, you're
You
bugging
know,
right now.
like,
right.
we do the hands, like
Like
talk to the
that.
hand. You
No,
know,
I'm good.
uh,
And
uh, uh, apply.
yeah, around that time, I really was starting to like, it was really starting to sink in, like, oh, I'm my own worst enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just got out of the situation. I knew what it was, but I went back with hopes that it would be different. But isn't that like the definition of insanity? And like having to come to terms with, like, oh, like abusive relationships are normal for me. Like, not necessarily that I was being beat up, but like mental abuse, emotional abuse, like there's different forms of abuse.
Right.
And I don't think that we have enough conversations on the fact that, like, it's a form of domestic violence. And our parents
Mm-hmm.
were some of the people that subjected us to the domestic violence. And so if your first like role model relationship was impacted by that, then it shapes the trajectory if you don't get the help you need and become aware of it for your future relationships to also model that. And
Mm-hmm.
so it was a lot. It was really a lot that I was not wanting to face and doing everything that I could to avoid.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just inevitable, because you it's when you come into this world, it's you and it's you. And when you go out, it's you and it's you. So you might as well face yourself.
Right. So, so now that you have become aware of how toxic you can be to yourself, what are the things that you did to remedy that malady?
Hmm. So therapy was like a good starting point for me to
Mm-hmm.
at least just hear my thoughts, because uh, like most, if not all, people don't want to be seen a certain way. They don't want to be seen vulnerable. They don't want to be seen weak. So even if our family and our friends, they see the, result or the outcome of our thoughts, we don't feel comfortable sharing with them like why we think that or how we got there, because a lot of times they're a part of why, we also feel that way, or they're a part of our triggers. And so when I was able to break through the stigma of going to therapy, and I started going and I started, coming to terms with my thought process and where my thoughts were coming from, that was a big stepping stone for me. And it allowed me to find a spiritual safe space with spiritual counselors that, were doing the work on the physical level. So like it's definitely one thing to talk, and that's great, but our ancestors, when they were living through the golden age or the golden era, it was because they were spiritually advanced by utilizing the elements, right? And so when I say they were utilizing the elements, we know that the elements are earth, air, fire, and water. And so one of the ways they would use the earth for healing is by walking barefoot, grounding, because the earth has negative ions, it has its own charge. And so, living in the society today, our bodies collect a lot of positive ions, but the earth's natural charge is what allows us to, I guess you can say, balance those ions so that we don't become ill, because too many positive ions in your body, it can make you sick.
Mm-hmm.
So, grounding, connecting to the earth, hugging a tree, even though they tried to make that thing sound like a hippie thing, you're showing reverence and respect for your nature, you know?
Right.
So, using the earth in that way. Fire, sun gazing, gazing at the sun at the appropriate times, it's going to stimulate and activate your pineal gland, which we may or may not know that a lot of things in this society, whether it be the food or the our skincare products, like what we wash with, what we brush our teeth with, they have chemicals that causes the decalcification of our pineal gland, because they know that that is what is going to allow us to access other realms and to have that vision, right? And so if we can't If we can't see the way, how are we going to know where to go? So if they can
Mm.
shut that down, you know, we got them. Cool. So sun gazing is a way to utilize the fire element for your healing. And it also helps regulate your melatonin and your natural hormones. So it's definitely something that is good if you maybe you have sleeping issues or have you like tried sun gazing. Um, water. So I take a lot of spiritual baths because
What's a spiritual bath? How does that work? Like you already talked about spiritual poetry, spiritual bath. Like
I
is
said
spiritual
sensual
something?
poetry, Mr.
I'm
Wise
sorry,
ass. Yeah.
sensual poetry. I'm sorry, but like it seems like you incorporate spirituality in almost everything that you do. What's a spiritual bath?
Well, I'm a spirit, so what you expect me to do?
I mean, I take a bath, but I wouldn't call it spiritual, right? When you take a bath, you call it
Uh,
spiritual. How is that different?
okay, so I pray into my bath water. I utilize Epsom salt, which is a form of earth, and the
Mhm.
Epsom salt or Himalayan salt. What does salt do?
Cause me to get hypertension.
If you put it inside your body, right?
I know, I'm just joking around. I'm not too sure what salt does on the skin.
Okay, well, salt has the ability to draw out negative like energy when you mix it into your water.
Okay.
So utilizing that into your water. Um, some people use Florida water, which is a special type of water that is also a cleansing agent.
But
Or
what makes Florida water so special?
there's different I don't yeah, there's different herbs that it's made with. I don't remember
Okay.
all the herbs. I actually have it in one of my books, but I have mad books up here right now. And
Hmm.
everybody might make it a little bit differently depending on the culture. So it depends on the culture how it's made, but it's very much known to be a cleansing agent. So that's what it's utilized for. Um, I depending on how I want to, you know, cleanse, I might add some eucalyptus into my bath. Eucalyptus is good for your mental energies, for your air element.
Do you use a
So
special kind of soap?
you said, do I use a special kind of soap
Yeah.
when it's in the budget? Absolutely.
All right. So
Otherwise, I use the house soap, which is Dove. Did you want to
all
know that?
right. So phonetic wisdom. So I'm trying to envision this. So
I'm
you
sure you
decide.
are.
I wasn't going to do that. I wasn't going to do that. I wasn't
Yo,
going there. I wasn't going there. I promise.
Yeah.
I'm trying to. So I'm trying to envision this. So you say, all right, and you do this every day, or
At least I do my best to get at least 2 or 3 baths in a week because the thing about me, I'm very sensitive to energies. Like it's very easy for me to pick up on people's energy. And
Mhm.
so like understanding like you have an auric field, right? And your auric field can extend from 6 feet to I believe they say 10 feet, but
What's
definitely
an
at least
orc?
6.
What's an orc field?
So your aura is your energy field. So
Okay.
around you there's an invisible energy field, and when people step into your field, whatever energy they're in, that has now come into your energy field. And it might not be something that you want to carry around. And for someone who like me who's very sensitive to energy, I can start to confuse other people's energy with my own. So I do my best to make sure that I cleanse that off by using the water.
Okay.
Like that's also where the ideas of baptism comes from.
Yeah. Yeah. No. All right. So 3 days out of the week, phonetic
Uh,
wisdom goes. Okay. I'm gonna take a spiritual bath today. So you fill your bathtub with water. You
uh,
get your Epsom salt,
uh.
your eucalyptus,
Depending on my vibe, I might get
depending on your.
lavender
So,
or roses.
all right. So
Depends on
what if
the energy I'm cultivating.
All right, so what if you were having like a very like what if you were angry that day? You were just like, damn, I didn't get to speak to Naren today. I'm really upset. I'm so angry. So
This
you
guy.
decide. So you
Um,
decide to take an angry spiritual bath. How does that work?
so it's all intuitive for me. What do I feel like I need? If I'm feeling like I'm angry, I'm probably gonna use lavender because lavender has a calming effect. So I have
Hmm.
oils. I have essential oils. Aromatherapy is also very healing, and I light my candles because that's another aspect of aromatherapy, which helps me to like calm down and get back in touch with my senses. I may bring some red crystals for my, my root chakra because the root chakra and anger can also go hand in hand.
Hmm.
So it's just what do I feel like I need in that moment? But one thing, like, no matter what you have, I'm learning that everything outside of you is a tool. So it's really about learning how to use your mind to make it what you want it to be. I always like pray into my bath water because
What do
if
you
you, I
pray?
don't
Like,
know,
what do you pray about for the bath water?
I might say like a mantra. I might just say whatever I'm releasing. I might, you know, I might just sing it to it. Whatever the energy is calling for. It doesn't have to be like this thing where I have a step by step instruction
That's what
because
I'm expecting. That's like I'm trying to envision a step
yeah,
by step.
because you're
Nothing.
very I think they call that right brain. Is that right brain or left brain when you're very logical?
I'm pretty sure that's right, brain.
Yeah, I be getting confused. Yeah, I think it is right brain. That's your masculine side, so that makes sense. But tapping into that feminine side, which is very much associated with spirit as well, father spirit, mother spirit, depending on what culture and what context background you're coming from, what the
Hmm.
conversation. But yeah, there's no like it's a personal experience. That's what the thing like people have to realize with spirituality. Like it's personal to you. What does your spirit want? Nairon spirit and phonetic wisdom spirit are not the same spirits.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So that's that for water. I said earth, I said fire, I said water, air. So air, breath work. Like consciously focusing on my breathing and deep breathing and even fire breathing really fast in and out through my nose. It's just kind of to assist me in activating my solar plexus. It's going to assist me in rejuvenating my cells because the cells in your body need air as well. But what if that air is now stagnant because you haven't purified it? So that's a practice that's going to allow you to bring fresh air into your body to rejuvenate your cells, keeping you younger, keeping you looking better because your body needs air, right?
Right.
That's what you're made of. So that's another way to, utilize your healing practice or burning sage or Palo Santo because that's creating a different air, cleansing the air.
Hold on, I think you're forgetting one element. I think you're forgetting one element. You
I'm
said
not. I
fire.
said earth. I said earth first for grounding,
Okay,
fire for
you're right. All right,
engagement.
you good. You good. Okay.
I got this.
I want to get back to the water and you taking a
Okay.
bath, if we can.
Huh?
How, I said I wanted to get back to water and you taking a bath. Outside
I'm
of the
sure you
stunning,
do.
outside of the stunning visual that I have in my brain, how do you feel after a spiritual bath? How does that work?
Feel relaxed.
That's it. That's it. There's no like no spiritual like I'm a new person inside and out. There's nothing
I
profound.
mean, you have to know that you're a new person because you decided to take the steps to become a new being or a new being. If you're looking for some like, oh moment, I'm sorry to tell you, but like spirituality can be mundane. It doesn't have to be like you waking up one day and everything looks upside down because you realized you're in the matrix and you don't see shit the way that it really is. Like, you know what
Mm.
I'm saying? Don't let the um don't let the media dictate the narrative on what connecting to your spirit should look like, because I realized that a lot of my expectations were rooted in false narratives. And so I was expecting something much more extravagant. And don't get me wrong, I've had some very intense like experiences where I was like, oh, okay. But why, like, when you get to a certain point of awareness, the oh my gosh moments are going to be very simple for you. It's going to be as simple as, like, I just got out of a relationship and then I met someone else. But when I took a step back and I was observing,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this person is like my ex, just in a different body. And being able to listen to what the person is saying and realize, oh, you went through the same thing. You're the same person. This is a test. That's the oh my gosh moment I need. Girl, you paying attention. You ain't out here. They ain't finna catch you flipping again, because life occurs in cycles. And a lot of times we don't realize that we're missing the lesson. And when it comes back around, we're like, why am I going through this again? Because the last cycle, you didn't get the point. And
Mm.
whether or not you're going through it with the same person or a different person, the real zen moment that I think you're striving for is in the awareness. And for me, don't get me wrong, like I've done shrooms in healing ceremony, I've done bufo, I've done
What is it like?
ayahuasca.
What is it like? I'm so sorry to detract. I'm just so interested. Like, what is what is it like being on shrooms? Like, how does your world alter?
Um, it's funny because it it doesn't really alter. I'm more confident in what I already know. And
Mm.
so maybe and it's a personal experience, which is why it depends on you. Like, I had already done a lot of healing work before I got to that point of healing in my journey. So it was more so the first experience and the consecutive experience. The first was probably the most intense, but like, it was a reminder that I knew what I knew in my soul, and that the doubt that I had prior to it was just the illusion, and it was the fear that was not me but projected onto me so that I could deny myself, but it allowed me to see beyond the illusion.
And
And
could you describe like the physical changes? Are there any physical changes when you're on shrooms?
so, because shrooms activate your neurons, like, how they say you use like 10% of your brain or something like that.
Yeah.
But I always thought that was dumb, because why would God give me something I can't use?
No, I mean
So,
that's technically that's a mythos, right? So you use 100% of your brain because a lot of your brain is responsible for a lot of your bodily functions. And that whole 10% notion is probably just relegated to thought. But that's besides the point. I just want to know the physical changes. Like, did things feel different? Did things,
relax, I'm getting there.
oh,
So, the first time around is
Oh,
probably the most
okay.
intense. The
Go
first
ahead.
time around is probably the most intense. And also, how you feel depends on what's in you. And I mean that in terms of like the food you eat, because it's a medicine. So let me be clear. The ancestors utilized these plants for medicine. It has medicinal properties. So when I say it's activating your neurons, I say that because I felt the percolating going on up here. Like, I felt more activity going on in my brain.
mm,
And the way that I felt myself, it's as if I just felt more of myself, as if my senses were enhanced. Like, the first experience was like coming into my body, and I dealt with a mind body disconnect also due to the sexual trauma for a long time. So I didn't really realize how disconnected I was from
Mhm.
my body. And I'm a very mental person. So it's easy for me to live up here, but you can't really navigate this life without being a whole person. So I still had to figure out how to deal with this lower half. And so the first time it was like I felt like my spirit actually came back into my body. And when I was writing, I was like, wow, this actually feels surreal to me. Like that I'm here with myself in this moment. Like I'm actually here with myself. And I don't think a lot of times I don't think we realize that you might be here, but your body is here. Your mind may be off somewhere else on another dimension. And they say that there are parallel universes. So I'm sure it's possible that even though you're looking at me and you hear my voice right now, you might be, I don't know, dealing with Nyron who's 40 on another universe, and your car might be getting repoed right now. I don't know. A lot of times, like, and I think like if we're paying attention, we realize it's so easy for us to get distracted and for us to
Mhm.
kind of tune out. But why is that? Where are we going? Where are we? Where are you? Do you know where you are? And I had a sister explain to me when not too long ago that her daughter at one point had channeled messages for her from like whatever other realm, and she didn't remember it, but the messages that she gave her, it stunned her because everything she said was literally everything she needed to hear. And so realizing that innate ability that we have as a people to tap into other realms and to connect with spirit on another level, that is our nature and that is our power.
Mm.
um so yes, that's what shrooms felt like for me. But for me, I've always been a person who says I be knowing, because I do be knowing. Like I don't know, but I was always that person like I knew, and it brought back all these revelations of like how I knew that I knew, and I started to just connect stuff. Like I just started like writing math stuff, and I was like, oh, that means this and this. I was connecting the symbols, and I was connecting the people and the meaning of the people's names and the numbers, and it was just like I was making the connections. And I always said, I know how to connect people. I know I could listen to you talk for it don't even have to be that long, and I'll be like, okay, I see where he fits in the bigger picture because I'm a person who's naturally aware of and focused on the bigger picture.
So where do I fit into the bigger
Don't make
picture of
this
your
about
life?
yourself,
I'm
Myron.
I'm just saying. I just want to know where I
Women's
fit
History
in.
Month. Put your male ego aside.
That's tough. It's a big
I
male ego.
know. I know.
It's Women's History Month, Lyron. Let's
Huh.
focus.
He wants so much.
I mean, I came from a woman. Does that count for Women's History Month?
So you should just listen to the woman right now.
All right, all right. I hear you. I hear you. I'm all ears.
Any
Unfortunately,
other questions, Nyron?
I got tons. I got tons. Like, what other drugs have you tried? I
Okay, so
want.
they're medicines. They're
Okay.
medicines. Bufo is it's a toad venom from the Colorado Sonoran. I think I'm saying that right. The Colorado Sonoran frog. Yeah, it's a toad venom, and that is next level. So they call it the God molecule. It has DMT, and of course we have natural DMT. So basically it might last like, I think they say at least 7 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. Is It is the most intense. It's a masculine energy plant medicine. So it gets straight to the point fast, like dad. Like it don't waste no time.
So if I
And
was a plant, that would be the plant that you would take, is what you're saying. It's
I feel like if I could compare it to a masculine energy, I might have to compare it to Denzel Washington in Training Day.
so me. I basically just heard me. You said all that to say me.
Well, I spoke. Whatever you heard, that's on you. But so with that, being the God molecule. It, it
Mhm.
it does assist you in a few things. Like they say, it helps you with addictions and healing from traumas. So it has quite a list of benefits. And for
Mhm.
me personally, trauma is something that I've been focusing on. So that is one of the reasons. But I also have an addictive personality. So that was also something that I was like, okay, let me see what this is about. Boy, that first time, I was like, oh shit. Like, because you're basically, your ego dies. And so there you're just experiencing your spirit or your soul. And it's like this amazing, scary, like I mean, I've felt everything that I've ever felt in life in that moment. And I don't remember how long it lasted because, like I say, time is an illusion, but it's really like it can be really fast. And when you're coming down, you feel like, oh, like, okay, I'm up there right now. But it gave me, like, the first time I remember I did it, it was like I just kept saying, I am one with God. I am one with God. I am one with God.
Mm.
And
Affirmations.
yeah, because we're all one with God. Like, we're coming from the same source. And yeah, that's one. It's not easy to put that one into words. Let me tell you.
You know what? You
That
know what? I guess a better question to ask would then be: of all the drugs you've taken, this is gonna sound
so the
so
plant
dramatic.
medicines, yeah.
Yeah,
Plant.
medicine,
Just say herbs, Naira. Just say
herbs,
herbs.
medicines. We all know what I'm talking about. Like herbs, medicines. It's
Well, you know why I'm correcting you? I'm not. It's not phasing me, but getting out of, because they've taught us to look at it like that, so that
mhm.
it can be a stigma behind it, but it is a medicine because it
Okay.
does have healing properties. So just being aware of, why are we classifying certain things as drugs? Like, by all means, consider cocaine a drug because that is man made, it is synthetic. The bufo is natural, the mushrooms are natural, the ayahuasca is natural. So
Did you
it is
do
a plant.
ayahuasca?
I did do ayahuasca.
Oh my gosh! I always wanted to talk to someone that has done ayahuasca. Tell me, oh my God, I have so many questions. Talk to me about ayahuasca. What was that like? Did you shit
um,
yourself?
what?
Yeah,
All
I've
right.
heard so many people
So
that.
we are on a
Oh,
one.
I mean,
So
No, no,
we
people that have been
are
on ayahuasca.
Nairon. We are on a 1 hour mark. So
Oh
let's just
no!
ask the main questions.
I'll
Oh
answer the ayahuasca
no!
questions
You
since
know
I
what?
already
Go
achieved
ahead.
it.
Go ahead,
But I won't let
Nairon.
him get carried
Go-
away either. So the ayahuasca is the grandmother medicine. So if you think about grandma, this is how this medicine is going to resonate. Um, she speaks to you in a way that is loving and firm, but also she's keeping it real with you. Like, grandma knows, because grandma's lived, right? You know,
Mm,
and the way that the medicine had hit me. So when you do it, you you'll have an opportunity to take your first dose and see how that affects you. And my first dose made me very aware of my thoughts, very, very aware of my thoughts. And it was like I couldn't escape my thoughts. So at that time, what the shaman that was guiding us told us we were going to be doing, based on his intuition, was we're going to sit in silence. When I tell you that that is the one thing that is so powerful, but we as a collective avoid because we fear our own thoughts. It is so real. So I was grateful when he said it, but I was also like, I'm used to doing something. You're telling me to do nothing. Like, I just have to sit here with my thoughts. Oh, there's
Yeah.
so many. I don't like it. And so that first cup, I just, the thoughts, 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 thoughts. I was like, oh my God. And so also remember, ayahuasca is a purgative. So I guess you weren't totally off if you asked me if I defecated on myself, but
no,
that's not my
because there's so many
lifestyle.
people that talked about how they shitted themselves or threw up. You know.
Okay, yeah. So a lot of times people do that or poop themselves, because it is a purgative. But I don't know. Are they saying they pooped on themselves or they went to the bathroom?
Absolutely. Like they said, I had this amazing experience, and towards the end, I let go of myself. They were like, I just released, and unfortunately, what
Okay.
physically released was feces.
Well, okay, everybody releases differently, but you
Mhm.
have to purge because it's a purgative. So also having that understanding that, and I realized this when I was fasting. Um, when we eat foods, let's say you were arguing with somebody when you were eating, right? So now the food that you ate in that energy has been digested in that energy. And if you didn't get it out of your body, it's sitting in your body in that same energy. So I think there are times where we're reliving something or we keep thinking about something and we wonder, why are we even thinking about that? Like we should have been over it. But the shit's still inside of you, right? On an energetic level. So that's really the why you have to purge on the mama ayahuasca medicine, because you are physically carrying something that needs to be released. And so,
Mm.
yes, I did throw up. You don't have a choice, but it felt good to get it out. Like, ugh, like I don't need that. And the second dose, it was like it was really a journey. Like at one point I just started laughing and I like everything, the feeling of everything became that much more like like I could feel it even more. Like it just felt so I can't even express it. It just feels like your body, your pores open up to be receptive to the actual small fibers on whatever it is. And I started laughing and I couldn't stop laughing. And then I started crying and then I couldn't stop crying. And then I had this other moment like, it's okay. Like everything comes from nothing. And so it's easy to make nothing into something and something into nothing, because they gave us the story of how God created simply out of just the will, right? There was
Mhm.
nothing. And then just a thought, because God is mind. If you look at the Kabbalion, that's the first universal law. All is mind. And if we believe in God, then we would consider God to be the all. And therefore, it is a mental projection. And so I was just having all these revelations, like, and when I went through all those emotions and I was like experiencing myself to this degree, I was just like, oh, like this isn't me. I'm just experiencing this shit. Like it's an experience. It's not who I am. I am that I am. That is all.
Mm.
And
Isn't that
I just
what
had
God said to Moses from the burning bush?
mhm,
I am that I am. Right.
exactly. I am that I am. Whatever you think you are is what you will become. So, like they say, the two most powerful words are "I am." Whatever you put after that, you are. So it's like when Lauren Hill said, "Everything is everything," because it came from one thing, right?
Mhm.
Um, and it was like a slower trip through these emotions that I had been feeling and experiencing. And fear came up, and we're like, when the fear comes up, your natural inclination is to want to run from it. But here I was in this space. I have to be quiet. I have to sit here and be with myself and face this aspect of myself. And it was like the most liberating and like like destructive moment, because I had to destroy this aspect of myself that I no longer wanted to be connected to, and being okay with that. Like there's parts of me that I like, there's parts of me that I don't like. That's what makes me me. And just having that moment where like, you know what? I'm okay with myself.
I'm
And
okay with you.
this guy, you belong on a TV show, Nyron.
Do I? Do I really?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so Um, let's help out. Let's help people out real quick. So phonetic wisdom. What books do you recommend for women to read?
I mean, yeah, women, people, all of the above. So, Melanin, What Makes Black People Black by
Mm.
Dr. Lilla Africa. I've had this book for a long time and I just pulled it out again yesterday. And I was like, why did I abandon it for so long? I don't know. It's disturbing. But What Makes Black People Black by Dr. Lilla Africa. And he really breaks down how in chemistry, a lot of times they're talking about our melanin, but they never say that they're talking about our melanin because if they told us that they were talking about us and the one molecule that we have that they're persecuting us for on a day-to-day basis, then we would have figured out who we are. But this is like it is not even a big like you see it like look, that's not even
Oh,
a
it's
lot.
really
It's
thin.
very, very, very like transformative information. Like when he explains how our melanin is what allows us to experience everything to a greater degree, which is why we excel in music, we excel in dance, we excel in the arts, we excel because the melanin allows us to tap into our senses to a degree which they are not able to. And so that is why like in the 80s they were pushing crack in our communities because it's a synthetic and a man-made drug. So when you combine the melanin molecule with a synthetic man-made drug, because the melanin it's black, it's going to absorb whatever you give it. And if it's anti-melanin or anti-black or against your nature, it's going to destroy you, and they know that. And so that's why, we live in the society that we live in with processed foods and like chemicals in our soaps and all these things because they know how it's going to affect us. It's not going to affect them like that because to the degree of the conversation where we're talking about we're natural people, they're not. They're synthetic in their own right. And so it's not going to harm them. The products or the foods that they've created, it's going to harm us because that's not in alignment with our nature. It's not in alignment with our cellular and our molecular components in DNA, our anatomy. So this book is amazing. I also recommend, where's it at? I got mad books on the desk. It's like overwhelming. Hold on. There's that book. There's
Hey, let me ask you a question, just personally. Like, I've been recently getting into books a lot. Have you ever
yep.
thought about investing in a Kindle?
No, I love the book. And artificial light is also unhealthy for us to when it's too much.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also why being inside too much is why in the winter we deal with seasonal affective depression because we need natural sunlight. So the more artificial light we get, it's not it it just stresses us out. Like it gives us
Mm.
mild depression. Which Dr. Lilla Africa also addresses in the book. So no, I hate Kindles.
You love my Kindle. I'm
No,
not
do
gonna.
what's best for you. But I like to touch the book. I like to feel myself going through the pages, and I like that.
Okay, all right. So
Yeah.
continue. What other books do you have?
So this book, The Spirit of Intimacy, Ancient African Teachings in the Ways of Relationships by Sobonfu Some. And what I love about this book is it actually checks our toxic idea of love, which is based on romance or romanticism, which, if you look at the root of the word, it's Roman or Roman. And are we Romans? We're not. So, our idea of love is also Eurocentric, which is why a lot of times we're in these toxic, unfulfilling relationships, wondering why it's not working out to be like the fairy tale they showed us on Disney. That's because, as a melanated people, our um our ability to love transcends possession, ownership, or the idea that you taking me out on a, I don't know, yacht date is going to be what means you love me, right?
Mm.
So this has some really great gems in it.
Could you possibly sit down one on one with me and read me the book about
That's
intimacy?
important to understand.
What is that noise?
I don't know. I think that's
That is,
Diamond. Yeah, that's DC. No, what I'm saying is, could you possibly like sit down and read to me one on one the story of intimacy? Because I would love to
okay.
learn it from you.
Okay, well, I'll have to bill you because
Bill,
that's
what? We're
like,
talking money?
yeah,
Wait, what? You
yeah.
lost me a bill.
Because you're asking me to work for you. So if I have to read to you, I know that I can get paid to do that. So
But I graduated with an English degree from Queens College. I know how to read. I want
so
you
then
to
you
read
could
to
do it
me.
yourself.
But you could do it with me.
So you want me to take away time from myself, focusing on my purpose when I have events to manifest, studio time to get, so I can just read to you for
You
fun.
know, already I feel like you're contradicting the premise of the book, which is all about intimacy. You
Oh yeah?
rejected the intimacy that I'm proposing.
Just because you're proposing whatever form of intimacy suits you doesn't mean it suits me, my darling.
Oh, ouch. Jeez, you want to talk about attacking the male ego on Women's History Month? I mean, Jesus.
Mm. Check yourself, Nyron. Don't waste my time. I don't like that.
Oh, no.
So, okay, this is another book. The Secret Science of Black Male and Female Sex, T.C. Carrier. I'm going to keep this short, but what made me want to get this book was when I read like a description of it on Amazon where the author was having sex with a woman and he transcends into another dimension where he meets a goddess Nekhebet and she gives him a message. And so he wrote this book from that. So that's to keep that short. But understanding that we got to understand the science. So God is a scientist. I always say that. And damn, where's this other book? I don't know where that book is.
And you've read all these books. Have you taken notes on it? Does it stick in your mind throughout your daily processes?
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
No.
Uh-oh.
Somebody else's time traveling. It's not just me. It's not just me.
Uh-oh. All right. Well, all right. So shout out to Phonetic Wisdom. I hope she gets back on, but yeah, she frozen. But shout out to Phonetic Wisdom for Women's Month. She is dropping a lot of gems about the pineal gland books. But yeah, Nyron, is there anything you got from this?
I got that. I got so much. I got so much. Um, Spirituality is something I've never really explored, to be quite honest. I don't know if spirituality is just consequential of us being, but
Mhm.
to speak with somebody that's in tune with their spiritual side is enlightening because they allow somebody like me to view the world in a way I never did before. Right? Like
Mm.
I never took a spiritual bath. I never read books on spirituality or I've never had sex with somebody that made me see another God in a different dimension. You know what I mean? That's wild stuff. So
Hmm.
that's what I've gathered from this interview so far.
Okay. All right. That's definitely what's up. And everything. Hopefully she comes back on. So is there anything you got to say while we wait for her to come back
All right,
on?
yeah, that's fine. Rich, what did you think about phonetic wisdom so far? Like, what are your thoughts?
Phonetic Wisdom has been with us, Nyron. If you haven't know, when she was with us last year, and she was
No, I'm
with
not. I'm not. I'm
us,
not. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about in general. Well, what do you think of her as a person?
she's awesome. She's definitely awesome. Yeah, definitely somebody that, if you want to talk about more of spirituality, and get in tune with yourself spiritual wise, she is definitely somebody that you can talk to about.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first time I've ever spoken to her, but no, this is technically the second, but like this is the first time we've had like a one-on-one interview, and it is fascinating. I had no like I've always wanted to talk. I've always wanted to talk to somebody that has done ayahuasca. You know what I mean? So for her to give me that insight was very enlightening. Like the whole part about her feeling like she needed to expel all of the waste and just it came out in the form of vomitus. But the fact that she was able to give me a description like that made me really intrigued about what it was like to be to be on ayahuasca, to be quite honest.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
hmm Do you
Yeah.
plan on reading any of the books that she suggested?
She did give me actually. All right. So this book. So when she did give me a book, honestly. Yes, me and her are friends personally.
Oh, shucks, I didn't
So
know
so she did give me a book. I don't know if
that.
can you see it?
Oh,
This
no, I
one.
can't. I can't. The light is hitting it in the wrong way.
Okay. Hold on. What about now?
I see Ayanla Van Zant until today.
Yes.
All right, cool.
So so this book is
But
she
as I
gave
was
us
saying
so
before she came back
so
on, yeah, phonetic wisdom is like the bomb, man. Like if you could just like have oh shucks, oh no, phonetic wisdom.
Oh,
Oh damn, I didn't know you
I'm
were there.
says the man
so
for free. I
so like I said, she gave me this book
Okay.
and
love
it is
you.
phenomenal. Phenomenal
Love it.
book. Yes, I love it book. Thank you for giving me the book. It's wonderful.
You're welcome. What I love about that book is like she gives an anecdote. Sometimes she has questions throughout the anecdote, but it does make you think.
Mhm.
And I think that's always what's important. But yes, I didn't realize, I don't know how, but I knocked out my Wi-Fi looking for this book. But I found it. It is Secret Science. And in the small words it says for the physical and spiritual transformation of man. Not
Mhm.
necessarily like actual man, but like human. But well, is it human? It didn't say you, but we're still gonna take the knowledge. So this is a really great book, right? And I know people see the symbol on, they're like, oh my god, evil. Actually, like no,
Who
it's a
sees the Star
pencil.
of David and thinks evil?
You know, it depends on the context in which people see the symbol.
Mm-hmm.
So this book, it talks a little bit about hermetic. So it is on hermetic philosophy, which goes back to Hermes, or Hermes was also, what was his other name?
Well, I do know that Hermes is the god of travel. He was the god of medicine. He was the reason he protected all travelers on the road. I think he also protected thieves. And he was the fastest god and was the messenger of all of the Olympian gods.
Yeah, so very much the messenger. Yeah, everything you said, but also what I wanted to allude to, being a scribe. So being the keeper of ultimately like the experience of the world. So that kind of goes back to what might be known as the Akashic records or the book of life. So you have your own book of life, whatever experiences you have. Um, it is the the existence of it exists within the ethers. There's
Mm.
an energetic imprint that we all leave behind. So yeah, this book, what I love about this book is it breaks down how the man and or the masculine and the feminine energy works. And I think that's really important because uh, as a people, as a black people, there has been a subtle role reversal, and it's due to the effects of slavery, of Black men being murdered, being lynched, being ripped away from their family. Black women had to become the men of the household, and a lot of us are still operating from that masculine energy, which no longer does. And in this book, he basically says that the woman's power in leading with her feminine energy allows the man to lead with his masculine energy. So even though men are leaders in the sense of being like the physical strength and the warrior and protector, the woman leads in spirit. But when she is not leading in the truth of her feminine spirit, she becomes masculine on a psychological level. And so her behaviors and her actions would agitate a naturally masculine man and turn him off, which I noticed that goes on a lot in our communities and societies, but it's not really understood what the conflict between black women is. And
Mm-hmm.
so I feel like this is really, really important to read so that we can understand how the feminine and the masculine operates, what is characteristic to it, what is the energy of it.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah,
So
that's all I'm recommending for this time.
so what was that? 3 books? Can you just give a brief recap? What were the books again? Just hit us with the titles.
For Science by John Baines,
Okay.
Of Intimacy by Sobon Fe Somme.
That's the one you said you were gonna read to me, right?
No, this is
Okay.
uh, The Secret of Male and Female Sex by T.C. Carrier.
All right.
Melanin, What Makes Black People Black by Lilla Africa.
All
Yes, so definitely all great reads, all gonna help the culture. And I don't care what color you are, you want to read these books.
right. Okay. So I'm still trying to like get rid of the idea of the spiritual bath. It's hard to get out of my head. But going back to the medicines, right?
Okay.
What 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 is your personal favorite medicine? What is the best medicine?
My personal favorite. I mean, I've done shrooms like several times, so it's kind of hard to say, but I really I do enjoy the shrooms, but the one time that I did do the ayahuasca, I appreciated that release, that physical release, and that feeling of having a grandmother speak to me and be direct, but in a loving manner, um, and to like kind of guide me through my thoughts and let me know, like, it's okay to take your time. Because, like I said, the bufo, it is masculine, is getting like, boom, like,
Mm,
so it's tough love, that bufo. But, the grandmother, she's patient with you.
okay. All right. So of all of your favorites, you would say that ayahuasca. I mean, of all the medicines you took, you would say that ayahuasca is definitely your favorite.
Today it is.
Today it is. You almost sound schizophrenic. What do you mean today it is? Like
Why do I have,
tomorrow might be a different answer?
why do I have to be schizophrenic? Why do I have to be disconnected from myself to decide that today is just today and tomorrow might be different?
Because tomorrow is definitely coming. You are more than likely going to be part of tomorrow, and I can't imagine that your phrasing, like their frame of thinking, would change when tomorrow comes.
Why not? Why can't
What I can't. What's happening between today and tomorrow? You got plans? You got transformative plans?
today you might have like constipation and tomorrow you might have diarrhea. Shit changes,
Mm,
right?
hmm.
Okay.
I guess, but there are some things that always remain the same. The sun will rise tomorrow. The sun will set tomorrow. You will more than likely wake up tomorrow. You will more than likely go to sleep tomorrow. You will more than likely read me that book on intimacy that I've been craving for. These are things that are constant.
So I So if the sun doesn't rise tomorrow, what does that mean for you?
If the sun doesn't rise tomorrow for me, that
Mm.
means I don't get to hear about that book, and that also probably means that I'm dead.
Okay, well that's what you think.
Have you never like? I mean, I think we're different in terms of like, I like rigid routines, and I like I have an expectant idea about what the day brings, and I feel like you're more of a flowy kind of person. Like you fall to the eddies of the wind, to phrase it a different way. You know what I mean? Like you understand that the world transforms itself in a way that I can't grasp, or I'm uncomfortable grasping.
Okay, at least you know yourself.
Okay, all right. Uh,
I mean, no,
DC,
important. I'm
oh,
rigid doesn't work for me. I'm not rigid.
you're
So
not rigid.
I mean, I could sit here and give you facts and statistics if that's what you do, but I mean, for what?
Because they give you a better idea of what the world is, right? Like numbers are solid. Numbers tell you what's happening. To not like to live in a flowy kind of world, it's a scary thing, right? Because you don't know. You don't know
But
what's in the deep.
okay, but who's giving you these numbers? How can you verify these numbers?
I mean, life, right? Like there are people that dedicate their whole time and careers to coming up with the numbers and figures to help you figure out what the world is, right? Like
Hmm.
solid numbers, like there's 330 million people that live in the United States. That's a number that's like you can wrap your mind around and go, okay, here's how many people live in the United States, right? Like, but you live in a world where you would just be like, oh, I don't know how many people live in the United States. It might be 300 million. It might be a billion. Who knows? It's like you, you're
Because
floating.
I don't have to believe what I'm told.
All right. So, are there any notions that people generally accept that you do not believe, or at least question?
I mean, that's in terms of what? Because that's a
All right,
broad.
that's very broad. Okay. All right. Let me see. Oh,
Don't
okay.
hurt.
Because I'm trying to think of like a
She said, "Don't hurt yourself."
no, because like I thought that was good enough.
I
Like,
like totally see Nairon having an aneurysm because he stresses himself out. Like, if I wasn't so flowy, I might be stressed out just watching you. I mean, like, goodness gracious. Did you make a bowel movement today? Like, I'm
no, I
curious.
didn't. I didn't take ayahuasca, so I didn't have that
Did
problem.
you make a bowel movement though?
I mean, I've done what I need to do body wise. If
So
that's,
you did a bowel movement? I'm just checking. You
I
might be.
mean, if you're checking for all of my bodily functions, I
I just
really,
about one, and you're ducking and dodging the question, which is making me think you're backed up. Like I'm assuming.
I mean, but isn't that what you're all about, right? You're not about facts. You got to live in the flow, right? Like if I told you factually that I had a bowel movement,
I
you'd
mean,
be like,
you took a shit or not. I don't know who said that there's 3 point whatever million people in the United States. I don't know them. I can't verify the information because I don't have the tools. And I'm okay with that. You seem to be stressed out because you feel like you have to have the answers. And me, I'm past that. Whatever proves itself to me repetitively, I accept it. And if it does not, then it's up to chance.
we
Okay.
are two different people. That is crazy.
I'm glad you know that.
So I think two different people should actually have conversations to figure out their worlds. You know what I mean? Like I think our conversation should move beyond the podcast just to figure out who we are and how we bring our worlds together. You get what I'm saying?
Of it. You now you're like asking me, I don't know what you're trying to imply, but it's like a very poor way to ask someone out if we're being honest.
Yeah, it is a poor way. I'm only fucking around. I'm only joking.
I'm
But
sure taking
All
it serious.
right. All right. Is there any more questions, Nairon? Because you and your million questions.
All right. So I asked about the ayahuasca. I did the spiritual bath. There was a question. There was a genuine question. I'm forgetting it. Oh, I got it. Do you think after all of the medicines and the spiritual baths and things of that nature, do you think you can honestly say that you've healed from the traumas of your life?
I'm still healing. Healing is a process.
Okay. Do
I mean,
you?
if you if you've been growing through, I prefer to say growing through as opposed to going through. But
Mhm,
if you've been growing through, let's just say for the sake of numbers, 20 years of trauma, it's not really I wouldn't say go start healing and expect to resolve all your trauma in 5 years. I mean, it's 20 years of trauma. It took you 20 years to get there. And I'm
mhm,
sure if you're vigilant, perhaps you can heal from most of that trauma, if not all of it, within half the time. But as you continue to grow through life, different things are going to happen. You're going to have different experiences, meet different people. And
mhm.
so you're going to have to deal with how those experiences impact you while you're on that journey. So I don't feel like healing is like a it's like when they say it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. I don't feel like it's a destination. You know what I'm saying? So no, I'm very much still healing through a lot of things.
Okay. So, I mean, I think you answered the next question I had, but the question I did have after that was, do you ever think you'll fully be healed? Do you ever think you'll come to a point where you're completely healed?
I feel like if I do, I'll die because what else will I have to do?
Mm. So from your perspective, the purpose of life is to heal from the damages that life gives you, and once you've completely healed, you no longer cease to exist.
Not in this form.
It's a very flowy answer. That is a phonetic wisdom answer.
Well, energy never dies. It just transfers or transmutes itself. We
Hmm.
and we know that we're energy and spirit is a form of energy. Then I'm not gonna die. I'm just change my form. So it's not that I'm gonna cease to exist. How my existence appears or is presenting itself is not gonna be the same.
Okay. All right. DC, you have any questions? Because I still have a ton.
You still have a ton. All right, so we almost on our 2 hour mark.
Okay.
So, phonetic wisdom. Is there anything else you would like to talk about? To the audience, or anything?
I think we pretty much covered most of what I had to say. They were really great questions. Thank you, Juan. Um, Thanks for asking about the books. You know, I love me some good books. And yeah, whoever's tuned in and wants to learn more about me, definitely follow me on
I
Instagram.
already added you on Instagram.
I'll be sure to follow you back now. Yeah, follow me on Instagram. I'm on TikTok as well, working on consistency. Follow my organization's Instagram, Voices of Black Power, power with an H for PowHer. Um, my website, phoneticwisdom.com, voicesofblackpower.com. Check out my blog. Um, I have a lot of links in my bio for some events that I may not be involved in, but I would love if you felt inspired to support in any way that you do. And look into my next upcoming events and vote for me to be your influencer because I feel as if I am a wonderful influence and I just want to influence the world for the better. So vote for me. It's a free support is free, and that's an opportunity to also win $100,000 for my organization, expand it, and really start circulating more, in our community, and creating more safe spaces, creating more uh, curated events, and ultimately, I just want our people to know that they have safe spaces where whatever they're dealing with, they don't have to worry about feeling or ashamed or embarrassed because they're not the only one. Things work together. So
All
yes.
right, let's go. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. Let's go, phonetic wisdom. Let's go. Let's go. All right. As we come to a conclusion, just to let y'all know for our audience, phonetic wisdom. This is not the ending. Phonetic wisdom will be with us. She's with us forever. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah. Oh yes, yes.
I'll hold you to that.
Oh, oh yeah, I know you will. But
I,
that's definitely, yeah, you're with us forever. Yes. Um Nyron, you can go ahead before we close this out.
All right. I guess I sense that we're at the end. So the only other question I have is, where did you come up with your name, Phonetic Wisdom?
oh,
That's kind of self-explanatory, but okay,
It's not.
I'll have
It's not self-explanatory. How is that self-explanatory? She wasn't born with phonetic wisdom.
or was I?
Oh, her. I would then. I would like to talk to your parents if that's the case. Where did you guys come up with phonetic wisdom?
So one day I was just it was very like it wasn't really that magical, but it was at the same time magical. Um, I was just changing my Instagram name, and I was like, I think at the time it was Poetic Gypsy, and I was like, I don't want to be this anymore. Like, and I just started thinking, like, how do I want to identify myself? And it. I say it wasn't that glamorous because it was like affiliated with like me changing my Instagram name, but I was like, huh. I want something that reflects me as a poet and a spoken word artist and what I embody. And, I was thinking about different names, and wisdom came to me, and I was like, should it be poetic wisdom? And I was like, nah, that sounds corny. And then something said phonetic wisdom. I just heard it in my head, and I was like, phonetic. And I looked up phonetic, and it represents speech or the sounds of something, the articulation of something. And I was like, huh, sounds of wisdom, sounds like me. And so I just took it on, and ever since it's kind of, I've grown with it, it's grown with me, and it's definitely been a self-fulfilling prophecy that has brought more wisdom into my life. So yeah.
All right.
Let's go.
Well, that's my last question for now.
All right. That there you have it, folks. Thank you, phonetic wisdom.
Thank you.
Um, yeah, definitely. So that's pretty much it. That is episode 38.
Ooh, ooh.
So you're going to, so for everyone here, you are going to see her more. Like I said, just to repeat myself, this is not the ending. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much an ending mark. So catch you soon, y'all, and we are out.
All right.